Welcome to chapter 9 of the book of Revelation. A lot in this chapter. I hope I don't miss anything that's important. But going back to the 8th chapter, I missed, I believe, mentioning that in 8:2, number 42 of the episodes of John occurs, and then in 8:13, that was where John sees the seven angels, and then 8:13, number 43 episode, John sees the great eagle. And so now we're going to go into this chapter, the 5th and the 6th trumpet. The 7th trumpet doesn't occur until 11:15 as far as the books of Revelation. And this first chapter is number 44 of the episodes. And before I go into this chapter, I want to mention how the last chapter we went through, the star coming down, the wormwood and so forth. And believe it or not, I went to sleep that night, and the next morning I woke up and I turned on the internet, and here's what I saw. Asteroid warning. NASA discovers 10 potentially hazardous rocks close to Earth. And if you ever look up information on the Shoemaker-Levy comet, it's very interesting because nobody had ever saw or seen anything large hit another planet. And then Shoemaker saw this object coming towards, I believe it was Jupiter, and Levy in England, and they discovered that this comet was heading towards Jupiter, and it hit many of them, and if it would have hit the Earth, it would have been all over. So in our lifetime, this has happened. A asteroid has hit a planet, so there's no reason why it couldn't hit this planet. And then I was saying I'm not exactly sure what something like that would look like, because it says it was falling with a fire, and then I go down here and look at this, and here it is, the picture. there's the picture I saw the next morning. Couldn't believe it. It's like, wow. So I don't want to scare anybody, but it is something that is things that are out there, could possibly happen. So we'll go into the first verse, and it says, "And the fifth angel trumped." And it says the first woe, because it'll go down here later in the woes. "And I saw a star falling from out of the heaven unto the earth, and was given to him the key of the well of the abyss." So this star is related to a hymn here. And if we go to chapter 20, verse 1, and it says, "And I saw an angel coming down from out of the heaven, having the key of the abyss, and a great chain in his hand." So it's probably this angel that it's talking about here, given the key of the well of the abyss. "And he opened the well of the abyss." And the abyss is mentioned in Genesis 3 and page 108 in our Entities book. There's a lot on the abyss, well worth reading about this in the book. And the well of the abyss, so apparently there is an opening that goes up to the top of the earth from this abyss. Generally, an abyss has to do with the deep. It has to do with water more than land, which would make sense because the beast from the sea came out. Could have been related to this, probably was. "And ascended smoke from out of the well, as the smoke of a furnace burning." Smoke on page 101, there's quite a bit on that you can read about. "And the sun and the air," were darkened. Helios, we have helium from that. They're darkened. So this, some type of a possible underwater volcano of some sort of, or opening up of the abyss, and all these things, smoke came out. "And from the smoke of the well." But it makes it different here, is what follows. And it says, "And from out of the Kopnu, the smoke came forth locusts unto the earth." And locusts are little insects that hop and eat green things. "And authority was given to them as The scorpions of the earth have authority. Well, the scorpions have the earth authority to sting, and that's just what he's talking about. Do damage to man. Can hurt us. And so these locusts are nefarious beings of some sort. I always thought, well, maybe it's DNA gone bad, some type of an experimentation. I don't know. And it was said to them that they should not injure the grass of the earth, which is unnatural. Locusts love grass. Now, for them to be not to be eating the grass nor any green thing, back in 8:7, where we already went, the grass was all destroyed. So either this, or we are going back in time, or the grass grew back. Except the men only who have not the seal of God upon their foreheads. So the seal of, so in 7, 3, and 8, we first mentioned the forehead, the seal on the forehead. They hadn't been sealed yet. They were told to seal them. But here they have apparently received the seal. And it says in Ezekiel 9:4, and the Lord said to him, go through the midst of the city, in the midst of Jerusalem, and put the sign upon the foreheads of the men groaning, and of the ones being grievously afflicted over all the lawless deeds taking place in the midst of them. So these were the righteous Jews. That's Ezekiel 9:4. And then in 14:1 of Revelation it says, and I saw, and behold, a lamb standing upon Mount Zion, Jerusalem again, and with him 144,000 having his name and the name of his Father being written upon their foreheads. And that's in 14:1. And then 22:4 it says, and they shall see his face, and his name is upon their foreheads. And I believe it's the ones going through the great affliction, great tribulation. But the beast has sealed the foreheads of the people that follow him. So you'll have some type of a seal on your forehead, either the Lord or the beast. And that is in Revelation 13, 16, and 17 about the beast, 14, 9 and 10, and lastly 20, verse 4, all about the sealing of the forehead of the ones following or belonging to the beast. And was given to them, that is to the locusts, that they should not kill them, that is the men, but that the men should be tormented 5 months. And there the men's torment was as the torment of a scorpion whenever it should strike a man. So it's something that's going to hurt. And in those days men shall seek death, and in no way shall they find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to happen. I guess God is going to allow people to go through this suffering, and there's no way to get away from it. Basically, the totality of it is pretty amazing, that people will not be able to flee from it. And the representations of the locusts. Now here, so they were not real locusts, they were representations of the locusts, were likened to horses. And you can go to page 48 of the book, Entity's book, and it'll go all about the horses, and you can see how they all looked and everything, being prepared for war. So these, this is all, then the woes, to me it has to do with the beast. And later we'll get it in more horses, and it's a little bit different. But and upon their heads, the locusts, are golden crowns. Now, what they are, people have tried to tie them into all kinds of things. Tanks, helicopters, you name it, because they have quite a few attributes that we're told. And the faces of men. So they look like a man. And they had hair as hair of women, and their teeth were as lions. And they had chest plates as chest plates of iron, and the sound of their wings, so they had wings, was as the sound of many chariots of horses running to war. And they have tails like unto scorpions and stings, and in their tails they have authority to injure men 5 months. So there's some type of a nefarious group of these insects, or these infernal insects that are coming. Insects are bad anyway, they bite, and so these are going to be really horrible. But it gives an explanation, and it says, but they have a king over them. Who is he? The angel of the abyss. He's got a name. In Hebrew, his name is Abaddon, but in the Greek, he has the name Apollyon. That is destruction, we're told. So the king of the abyss, angel of the abyss. In Daniel 8:23, it says, and at the last of their kingdom, being full of the sins, a king shall rise up with an impudent face and perceiving riddles. That's Daniel 8:23. Could be referring to this king, the king, angel of the abyss. And one woe went forth, behold, comes still 2 woes after these. Now these woes are different than the first 4 trumpets, which were natural or somewhat maybe natural occurrences that were against the earth, but these are some type of evil force that is coming on and is bringing this 5 months of pain and suffering. But that's not the end. It says, the one woe went forth, behold, comes still 2 woes after these. And I believe this is a time of the beast in the future. And the 6th angel trumped, and I heard one voice from out of the 4 horns, or a sound of the golden altar before God, saying to the 6th angel having the trumpet, loose the 4 angels being bound at the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosened, the ones being prepared for the hour and day and the month. So they were loosened, but now in the year that they should kill the third of men. Well, now it sounds like the angels, now are these nefarious angels or these angels of God, that they should kill the third of men. But then it goes on, and it doesn't sound like anything from God, but in verse 16 it says, and the number of the military of the horses, myriads of myriads. Not, it could be, but and I heard their number. But it says they were bound at the river Euphrates. So it gives a location of this military that's coming. And it could be, the Euphrates is part of the Fertile Crescent, and it runs up through Iraq, and then it crosses over to Turkey and to the north of Israel. So where they are, it could be the north coming down, which goes along with some forecasts in the Bible, predictions, and the others, it could be they're coming across from the east, across the Euphrates in Iraq. And their number, myriads of myriads. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. So now the relation, it says the horses, so not the angels, and the ones sitting down upon them having chest plates of fiery color, reddish, and a blue and sulfurous, which would be yellow. And I looked to try to figure out what those 3 colors, what country it would be, and I didn't find any that I could say for sure that was bordering or coming across that area. And the heads of the horses were as heads of lions, and from out of their mouths went forth fire and smoke and sulfur. So here is a different thing than the locusts, but these horses. And from these 3 plagues, he has plegon, 4127 plagues, but down below it's their calamities I have, so I got it 2 different ways. You could put calamities either place or plagues either way. A plegon is more of a transliteration. So a third of the men were killed from the fire. Before we had all the different thirds killed, and so this would be another third of men. Not very many are going to be left after this. And from the smoke and of the sulfur going forth from out of their mouth. So it's not coming from out of a mountain, some type of a thing that's going on with this military. For the authority of the horses is in their mouth and in their tails. So, for their tails are like unto serpents having heads, and by them they injure. And so what these things are, I don't know. The horses, the people I think that live in the future will say, oh, that was easy. This is what they are. And the rest of the men who were not killed by these plagues or calamities, plagues, repented not from the works of their hands. So all these things were given for man to repent. Apparently they could, and maybe not take the mark of the beast then, that they should not do obeisance to the demons and the idols, the gold and the silver, the brass, the stone, and the wooden, which neither are able to see, nor hear, nor to walk. And man, repented not from their murders, nor from their sorceries, nor from their harlotry, nor from their thefts. So man could have repented, apparently. This was possibly at the time of the beast and taken the mark of the beast and the war that leads up to it. And because apparently they could have repented. Otherwise, they repented not. If they could have repented, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe they couldn't. They repented not because they couldn't, because they took the mark of the beast. So either way, I suppose. Chapter 10, we're going to continue, and it's still in the same vein, and he's still on, John is still on earth, and he sees a strong angel coming down from the heaven, and we'll go into chapter 10 next and find out about what John sees with this strong angel. Hope you'll join us in chapter 10, and God bless.